rock and roll and mundane sounds, and fills our ear full of Harikatha and satsang and mantra and mala and prarthana and pat and satisfaction. So what about the sense of smell? We heard about how a living entity loses, but how does Krishna grihita manasa, how does he capture our mind, which runs out to our nose to enjoy sweet fragrances, which I told already, the analogy of hundreds of perfumes and fragrances, etc., colognes and perfumes. It's an unlimited industry. It's a multi-zillion-dollar industry. Fragrance, is it not? Multi-zillion-dollar industry. Just one sense. To satisfy one uncontrolled sense of men and women in this world, a zillion-dollar industry has arisen. Artificial, synthetic aromas and fragrances, and quote-unquote natural fragrances, and quote-unquote original, which is all chemical. A natural fragrance, you go in the forest, you smell a lotus, that's a lotus. When you buy lotus perfume or lotus oil, that is not natural. Natural means in God's nature, created by God as it is. That's the only natural thing. Everything else is unnatural, bekar. They can write anything out of natural, pure oils, pure scent. It's purely cheating. But it's Kali Yuga, so there's many cheaters and cheated. Now fragrance, the asli, original fragrance. It's Krishna. Where does fragrance originate from to begin with? What is the origin of fragrance? Saurabh, Gandha. Krishna says, God is the origin of fragrance. But then how does he present fragrance and saurabh to the world? The source of fragrance, aroma, saurabh, and Gandha in this world is bhumi, earth. Krishna says, I become the earth and supply rasam. It's in Bhagavad Gita. All fragrances and scents have their origin in the earth. And from there they go to factories and synthesized and mutated and chemicalized and mesmerized and packaged. It says Gandha, it says Bhumika Gandha Asmi. Krishna says Bhumika Gandha Asmi or Asmaka. He says, I am the fragrance of the earth. Fragrance, saurabh, Gandha. Sweet flowers come from the earth, not the factory. Sweet sandalwood trees come from the earth, not the factory. One piece of earth, one small patch of earth, 20 feet by 20 feet, you can have 100 different fragrances there. 100 different fragrances in 10 meters by 10 meters. Juhi Phool, Mogra Phool, Gulab Phool, Gendak Phool, so many flowers. And they all have a common origin, God. And his expansion is earth. So earth is the origin. So why not go right to the source? If you want money, go to the richest man and ask him. If you ask the people in the factory for 20 crores, you may be unsuccessful. If you ask the owner of that factory for 20 crores, you may be successful. That'd be a very rare day. So we're trying to settle for artificial, natural-like, natural almost like, and nature-like, and all kinds of jargon and propaganda that they brainwash everyone with. Why not go right to the earth? Why not go right to God and get the original, as it is, pure, 100% natural scent, saurabh? Because when we do that, then we won't be interested anymore in artificial, synthetic, chemical fragrances, irregardless of the false packaging. How do you smell God? How do you satisfy your intense desire to smell? You can imagine if you smell Krishna or smell Radharani's form, transcendental form, you'll never buy another bottle of perfume again. You'll never buy another bottle of cologne again. You'll never waste a penny for all these useless chemical scents and fragrances and and B-O, and this O, and that O, and S-O, and so many O's. Because your desire for wonderful fragrances will be fully satisfied, and that desire will increase more and more. That Saurabh, that Gandha Ananga Vardhanam, that intense craving and drive and pushing to smell newer fragrances and perfumes, Ananga Vardhanam, that Ananga, that lust, that craving, to Vardhanam, ever different ones. Does any woman buy a perfume when she's 18 and she uses the same perfume for her whole life? Highly doubtful. Otherwise, there will be no industry at all in the world. Industry, the cosmetic industry, and industry in general, the consumer industry, is based on chanchal man. Chanchal man and dissatisfaction. The chanchal man, the wayward, fickle mind, can never be satisfied, no matter how many thousands and millions of perfumes, how many thousands and millions of restaurants, how many thousands and millions of lovers and sensations. Impossible. As many times as you fulfill your mind's desire, your mind makes 10 desires, you fulfill them, and your mind makes 10 more, makes 100 more. Your desire factory will always outproduce your fulfillment factory. There's one factory that produces desire. It's called desire, Icha Samyog, Gramyog. What do you call factory? Is there any name in Hindi for factory? What is it called? Karkhan. Anyway, everybody has a different word for the same thing in India. Okay. The desire factory. Desire factory. So we have one factory called desire factory. And we have another factory called fulfillment of our desire factory. So which one is winning the race? The desire factory sits in our brain, our mind. Our mind is cranking out desires like 10,000 desire products every hour. Very productive factory. Unfortunately, the other factory we have at our command and under our control is called the desire fulfillment factory. And that production is falling way short of our desires. I desire this clothes and that clothes and this clothes, but my fulfillment factory is only giving me 100 rupees to buy one piece of clothes, and I want to buy 5 pieces of clothes. My fulfillment factory, also known as my husband, I asked for 10 new saris. I asked for 10 new saris from my desire production factory, but then my husband, the fulfillment production factory, says, no, I will give you money for 1 new sari. Have you heard this before? So whether we have a husband or wife or our own money, I'm an independent person. I have my own job. But are you independent of your desires? The lady's working as a secretary. She's making 80,000 rupees a month. So she has 80,000 rupees to fulfill desires. Unfortunately, she's earning 80,000, but every month she has 120,000 rupees worth of desires. You follow the logic? So she's in the red. She's bankrupt. So this is the problem with material sense objects and the attempt to fulfill them. You never reach the end. You never find santosh. You never find shanti, but we keep running, feverishly, passionately, madly, fastly, running after our eyes, running after our nose, running after all of our sense organs. So this is fragrance. So we mentioned how the bee loses his life. Because the bee he didn't smell Mahaprasad garlands. So there's also, Krishna has so many fragrances. How do you smell God? How do you contact the fragrance of God? We have to go where God is. How do you smell the fragrance of your wife's body? You have to be where she is. If she's in Moscow and you're in India, you can't smell your wife's fragrance of her body or perfume or whatever you're perceiving. So you have to come together. So you go to the temple and they give you 1 garland, Mahaprasad Mala. Oh, it feels so nice. It looks so colorful. Very intricately made. Very intricate design, especially these garlands in Radha-Shyam Mandir. So much devotion, so much thought. Oh, yes, your friend says. I live here in Vrindavan, you're from Delhi. These garlands are not purchased outside from the Malawalas. These garlands are made by the bhaktas here in the Radha-Shyam temple. Acha, yes, it looks very intricate and ornate, and they're very fat and they're long. Must take long time. Yes, it takes 3 hours to make one garland for Shyam Sundar. Acha. Wow. Are they getting paid? They don't get paid. This is free service. This is love. Does your wife pay you to serve her? Do you pay your wife to serve you? Oh, my wife, you smiled at me. Here's 100 rupees. Every time you smile, maybe it's a good idea. After you've been married for 10 years, they say, listen, every time you smile and say I'm nice, I'll give you 50 rupees. When you're first married, it's all smiles and I love you and everything. But after 5 or 10 years, then the reality comes out, then it gets a little different, as everyone knows. So no, these garlands are made by the bucks, by these ladies and gentlemen. They make these garlands. Oh, they're so beautiful. It's so colorful. I'm enamored. My eyes are satisfied by the design, the color, the shape. Oh, it smells so divine, wonderful. Oh, some gardenias and magnolias and gulab and so many flowers. Oh, what a feast for my nose. This is really anangavardhanam, ever-increasing pleasure with every smell and fragrance. You're smelling God. You're getting the prasad, the mercy of God, and your nose is becoming disinterested in other things. And then if you're very fortunate, then the pujari might say, out, jaldi out. Hey, sahab, out, sir. And then he gives you some little piece of cotton, and it's dipped in some fragrant oil, very costly and wonderful oil. It's called ittar. Ittar, or scent, we say in English, scent, Thakurji's scent, or Thakurji's ittar. Sogandhi. Some cotton dipped in. Little piece offered to the Thakurji with the flower together. For his, like Krishna goes, whoops. Krishna goes like this and like that, and then Radharani goes like, They smell nice for each other. Then they say, oh, listen, we smell good, you should smell good too. Because Krishna, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, he's a sharing God, he's a giving God. Other gods take worship, they take puja, and they give boons and benedictions. But Krishna takes love and gives love. And if you want a boon or benediction, you go to the banker gods. There are many banker gods. You do banking with them. Deposit and withdrawal. They're called banker gods. You make a deposit with Vaishnavi, then you draw back. Or Babaji is a very big banker god. In fact, when you go to the temple, there's a bank right on the mandir premises. State Bank of whatever. So when you want to give a donation, you don't give it to the pujari, you don't put it in the hundi box, you go to the bank, because I've been so many times at Babaji, at least 5, 6. You go there and you might make a donation, you give it to the banker, a regular bank office of a bank, regular bank, and then he gives you a receipt. It says, deposited 5,000 rupees in Sriman Balaji Thakurji's account. 9108-108-108. That's his account number. So I said, well, this is quite an astounding arrangement. So but the idea is that you put in, you go to Balaji and say, look, I'll give you 5 lakhs, banker gods. And you bless me that my business makes 100 lakhs. I'll give you 5. If I make 100, then I'll give you 50. I like this. It's called banker gods. You do puja, you do worship because you want to get some return. But Krishna, he only gives love in return. And that's the most valuable asset anyone can ever have. The most valuable wealth and greatest nidhi and treasure is to have love. Not mundane, ordinary, temporary, limited love which is finalized by time, space, and circumstance. But eternal, unlimited love which expands at every moment. Vardhanam, Vardhanam, Vardhanam. Krishna prema Vardhanam, Vardhanam, Vardhanam. Bar, Vardhanam, Bar, Vardhanam. Moment by moment, time by time, that love expands within the heart. From a seed-like plant to an ankur, a sprout, to a stem, to leaves, to branches, and finally flowers, and finally fruits. The fruit, prem phal, Krishna prem phal, the final fruit of endeavor and service and loving offerings to God. We can satisfy our intense craving for fragrances and smell by we receive that sugandhi or that ittar from Thakurji. Then Krishna is so kind. Most people don't know this secret. I'm going to tell you a secret about anatomy. Many of you have studied medicine, And many of you have studied anatomy. I also have. So you know about human anatomy. The kan and ak, muk, eye, mouth, ears, and the internal skeleton structure and skin and bones, etc. But Krishna, out of his kindness for his bhaktas, when you surrender to God, he tells you something special. When you surrender to God, Krishna whispers in your ear, that same ear, and he says, I've given you a special facility, and no one knows about this except my devotees. Your ear has a special facility that everyone's ear has, but this advantage facility is undiscovered to the non-devotional ear. The non-Krishna Bhakta, the atheist and Gnostic, he doesn't know that his ear has this special facility or physical arrangement. What is that? It sounds amazing. All the doctors of the world, please listen to me. All the anatomists of the world, all the surgeons, there's something very unique and special that God has given us. And he hasn't given it to the elephants or the squirrels. He's given it to man. There's a little pocket. There's an ear pocket. You know, a jabe? You know, jabe pocket. There's a little pocket inside the human ear that's reserved for ittar. It's an ittar jabe. It's a pocket reserved for the Mahaprasad scent or aroma given by God. So when the bhakta gets that, he puts it in his ear, right? You didn't see it. You didn't see it, but if you were near me, you could smell it. And this is called kus. You know kus? Kus. It's natural, made from rue kus. Ittar, kus. Colorful, fragrant, soothing, and satisfying. And the effect of kus, it's cooling for the brain. Some fragrances are called aphrodisiac, like kasturi or patchouli. You smell them, you become a little bit romantic, hot. You start to move in the wrong direction. But when you smell kapur sugandha or kaska sugandha, you become cool. Everyone knows camphor is cool and cooling to the brain. So kaskas is cooling and doesn't smell like a chemical like camphor. Very nice. So Krishna Bhagavan has made a little pouch in the human ear, a little jabe, to stash this sugandhi. So your boss doesn't see it and no one sees it because it's ananga. It has no visible body. It's invisible. It's intangible, but it's perceivable. You can't see it, you can't touch it, but do you smell it? Yes, you smell so good. That you're smelling Krishna, not me. Or what kind of cologne do you have, Swamiji? I have Krishna cologne. Oh, Mataji, oh, madam, you smell so fragrant. What, you have some special French perfume? Did your husband break down and spend 10,000 rupees and buy a bottle of original French perfume? Are you kidding me? I went to the temple, and the pujari gave me some ittar. See, look. Acha! Hiding inside your ear. Yes. Bhagavan has gave a special pouch to hold his mercy. He's given a special place, a hiding place, to secretly put his influence. The primary hiding place for God, which he has placed in everyone's heart, is the heart. The Hriday Mandir, the Guyam, that Krishna, if we open our heart to Krishna, like Hanuman, Dasirati Hanuman, he opened his heart, mind, and life to Ram and Sita, and they moved into his heart, and they lived there eternally, receiving his love and his seva. And he showed that, he proved it. So the ultimate pouch, the ultimate resting place for Krishna is within our very hearts. And although when he enters our hearts, we can't touch Krishna in our heart, he's intangible. We can't see him, he's invisible, untouchable. He's intangible and invisible. We can't see him, but we can perceive him. He's Ananga. The presence of God in someone's heart is not visible. They see, oh, there's someone. He's a grihast. He's a businessman. But God or businesswoman, they may be fully present in that person's heart. They have no long beard. They have no robes. They have no all these accoutrements of a sadhvi or a sadhu. But God is hiding in their heart. Dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam. In Purana it says that Dharma personified, the tattva darshan of Dharma, the perception of Dharma, the form of Dharma is in the heart of the Premi Bhaktas. Nihitam guhayam, guhayam. That secret cave and core of the heart, Krishna is residing there. And when that devotee, Krishna Bhakta, Ram Bhakta, businessman or businesswoman, professional person, when they speak or when they act, then you understand, oh, this is a Ram Bhakt. This is a Krishna Bhakt businessman. Krishna's in their hearts. Something different. So this is, when we smell the sugandhi of Krishna, then we give up all these perfumes, and we're mad to run to the temple to get the latest ittar. And then we even go and buy, we're so much enamored, we buy some beautiful natural oils and scents, and we offer them to Thakurji without any motivation. I will buy very costly oils and I'll offer to the Thakurji for his pleasure. If he gives me some prasad, well and good. But I know that if simply by giving him for his pleasure, Thakurji's pleasure, some wonderful sugandhi, that automatically he'll satisfy my senses internally. That craving, that mental craving, that manasa, grahita manasa. I'm seized by the desire for fragrances. Ask any woman. They're so much driven. Their minds, grahita manasa means their minds are seized and controlled by continual desires for newer fragrance. It's a special characteristic of women in general. Who buys the most perfumes and colognes and all these things? It's not the men. They buy one thing and they use it for 100 years. Brut or this or that or some, whatever the latest thing is. Women, they buy 50 a month. Nature. Men are uncontrolled nose to a less extent. Uncontrolled means uncontrolled. As the bee lost his life and the fish lost his life. And now, what have we covered? 4 living entities lose their life. The moth, the fish, and the bumblebee. So what's left? Oh, that's touch. What's the other sense? Jago Kalam. The deer, the mriga. The mriga, the deer, the forest deer, the spotted deer, the black deer, so attractive, so gentle, delicate, and graceful in the movements. Such a gentle, beautiful face of the female deer. Beautiful, glistening, moist, comforting, soothing, peaceful eyes. Pleasure to look at. But they have a problem, big problem. Not that they want to eat grass everywhere. Oftentimes deer just stand there. They have their fill of grass and they're peaceful. They're not munching all the time, munching grass. But they cannot control their ears, shabda, desire to hear music. I like music. I love music. Have you ever met people like that? Are you a people like that? The very clever, ill-motivated human being who is a mrigari, a killer of animals, mrigari, a killer of deer especially. The cannibal or the adivasi or deer cannot control his excessive attachment to the sound vibration. The adivasi, meat eater, hunter, he knows this weakness of the deer, so he utilizes it to capture and to kill the deer and destroy the deer for his purposes. He plays the flute. No matter how deeply camouflaged and hidden in the protective forest is the deer. When he hears the Venonad, the flute of the hunter, he can't control his mind. That sound, that shabda ananga vardhanam, the shamya gitam ananga vardhanam, that sound of the flute of his murderer, of his death, of the hunter, he cannot resist it. He cannot deny it. And as he listens more and more, his ananga, his shabda ananga becomes greater and greater and greater. Vardhanam, it increases. Moment by moment that the flute player plays a song, my grandfather warned me about this. The flute will be my demise. The flute will be my demise, my death, but I cannot control myself. In fact, this Shabda Ananga Vardhanam, this intense desire to hear the sound of the flute, I know it's my death, or maybe they don't, usually they don't. It's increasing so much, now it's actually increased to such a potential, such a pitch that it's totally seized my mind, captured my mind. Grihita Manasa, Vraja-striya Krishna Grihita Manasa. It's not Krishna Grihita Manasa, it's Kamdev. It's uncontrolled lust and craving that's Grihita Manasa. Totally seized and captured the deer's mind with one sense, Shabda. He runs out, he's shot the hunter's arrow and killed just because he could not control his ears, Shabda. And I already explained how we can control Shabda by Krishna's sound, vibration. You meet many people that love music, and they buy so many kinds of CDs and video CDs, audio CDs, and they have big stereos and headphones, and in their car, elaborate sound systems. And if they have the money, and wraparound sound everywhere. Sound, sound, sound. Grihita Manasa. Now finally touch. Sparsh. Every man wants, first a man touches a woman with his eyes. That's also touch. I had a very touching experience. That we have phrases like that. That woman really touched me. When I met her, I was really touched. Means that our lust, ananga, was vardhanam, increased and enhanced by touching the form, or especially face and form of that woman with her eyes. Touch. So the beginning of touching a woman or a man is through the eyes, touching with our eyes. When we touch with our eyes, it creates desire in the mind. Just by touching with the mind, touching with the eyes rather, just by touching with the eyes, by glancing at a handsome man or beautiful woman, then ananga vardhanam, sparsha ananga vardhanam, that enhances, inflames, increases vardhanam, the desire ananga, that intense lust and craving to fully touch that woman or man, embrace, caress, fondle, have, hold, and even marry or marry. So powerful is the sense of touch. We are touching each other with our eyes. It was a very touching experience. It was a very touching lecture. He didn't touch me, but it's a phrase in English. It was a very touching movie. Have you ever heard this phrase? I cried so much, it was very touching. Usually an emotional, this is English, maybe you all aren't familiar, but a very emotional, romantic movie with a sad ending, or the hero died, or whatever, terrible ending. Oh, it was a very touching movie. It was a good message. It was about nature and ecology. It was very touching. I have to do something to improve my life. Touching, so obviously the greatest object, the greatest sense object of touch, which bewilders and totally seizes the mind of a man and seizes the mind, grihita manasa, is the rupam of woman and man. Just touching with her eyes, then it excites vardhanam, lust and desire and craving in the heart and mind to have more touch. And we have phrases in the modern world. Let's keep in touch. Have you heard this phrase? Let me have your cell phone number. Let's keep in touch. Well, there's a lot of Freudian psychology in that phrase, because everything we speak has an external and internal meaning. There's a psychological implication, romantic implication, business, so many things. Ego's in your speech, your envy's in your speech. So many things are mixed up in speech, which most people don't even perceive. You can speak in a way that's envious. Oh, she's okay. But the way you're saying she's okay is that you can detect the envy. He's nice. You can say, he's nice. He's nice. The intonation, the inflection, the emphasis, even without changing the words, means, oh, I met this really nice person, a man, and a woman says that. Then you know they're lost on some level. So just see the psychology behind our everyday expressions. Your great-grandfather never would even talk to a woman in the public. Your great-grandfather would never converse with an unrelated woman in the public. Times are different. If he did, he would never say, let's keep in touch. Let's trade cell phones. Let's keep in touch. Yeah, let's keep in touch. I've touched you with my eyes. You touched my heart. It was a very touching experience. Now I want to touch some more. So let's keep in touch. Literal meaning. Because in every phrase, there's a little implied meaning, the literal meaning, and so many meanings wrapped up. So men and women want to keep in touch in the modern world to maybe, in a lot of cases, have some illicit relationship. These phrases were never used. Even when men and women were moving together in a business place, they never said, let's keep in touch. They said, I'd like to give you a call. We call it slang. It's actually from America, recent America, within 30 years. But I'm an American for 60 years. And in our society, men and women mix freely. So we would never say, let's keep in touch. We say, what's your home number? We only had home phones. I'd like to give you a call. And then this thing, keep in touch. And now there's so much touching going on outside of marriage. Isn't there a lot of touching going on? And a lot of abortions as a result of misdirected illicit touching? Big time. So uncontrolled touch. First the eyes touch, then anangavardhanam. Just by touching the form of man or woman with the eyes, then that ananga, that lust to enjoy man or woman, burns like a fire. It starts as a deepam in the heart and becomes a bonfire, becomes a raging forest fire of lust. Anangavardhanam increases more and more and more. And then our mind gets seized, grihita manasa. So the gopis heard Krishna's flute, they heard his flute, and then increased their desire to serve Krishna, increased their desire to please Krishna, increased their desire to do anything to make Krishna happy, and increased their selflessness, and increased their detachment from everything around them. They became ananga. That was the effect of Krishna's sound. And what to speak of. So, but when we see we have some sparsha, desire to touch, and then the material accommodative enters our mind and heart, it increases our selfishness, increases our tendency to exploit, and makes us more attached to our body and the body of the one we want to touch, and more attached to our money and our society. Pumsas tridamatuni bhavametam tayormito ridya grantamahu atogriya kshetra sutattavidhara janasya mohoya mahamameti. In Bhagavad Puran, in Panchamaskanda, 5th canto. When man and woman combine, pumsas triyamatuni bhavametam, tayormito ridya grantamahu. When man and woman combine, it all starts with a glance. Touch with the eyes, then you're really out of touch. Sometimes people touch with the eyes, and, hey, where's so-and-so? He fell in love with so-and-so, and I don't see them anymore. He got in touch with her, and I lost touch with both of them. They eloped. They ran away to Europe and got married. They really got in touch. When they got in touch, they dropped out of sight, and I lost touch. So this verse is telling that when one gets in touch with the opposite gender, then So many complications, so many attachments expand. That kamde, material lust, increases attachment, not detachment like the gopis. You become more bodily conscious. You become more anga. Because janasya mohoyam ahamameti. This is the byproduct of being attached to man or woman. You start thinking, aham, I am husband, I am provider, I am protector, I am this, I am that. And she is my wife, and it's my house and my children. I and mine, everything I and mine. So the effect